as we speak to her. We welcome you, Sonal, to this dialogue. Uh, Conducting the dialogue with me. Hello and welcome to this uh, live show called BI Interview with Sonal Goel IAS. And I'm joined by my colleague Nana Jha, Associate Editor of Bureaucrats India, an independent initiative to celebrate stories of good governance. Join me in this conversation with Sonal Goel, IAS. Uh, for those who may have missed, we just have gone live on the Facebook. I again take this privilege of introducing Sonal Goel. Sonal has been an IAS of the 2008 batch, and she secured the 13th rank and was allotted Tripura cadre. She has held multiple positions, first as Assistant Collector of West Tripura, then SDM Ambassa, ADM and Collector South Tripura, CEO Agartala Municipal Council, Joint Secretary in the Labour Department, State Project Director of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, District Magistrate and Collector of Gomti District, and subsequently, she was on a 4-year intercadre deputation to Haryana, where she took on multiple roles in very, very critical positions, and the interventions she brought about visible changes. We shall have the delight to hear many stories from her own experiences. She has been Commissioner of Municipal Corporation of Faridabad and CEO, Faridabad Smart City Limited. She has also served as DC of Jhajjar in Haryana, and multiple other roles that we shall get to know from her. A qualified company secretary, Sonal is also holds an LLB from Delhi University, besides having been completed MA in Public Policy from IGNOU. We are extremely pleased to have you, Sonal, in this dialogue. Joining me to have this conversation, assisting me today, is Nana Jha, Associate Editor of the Bureaucrats India. We'll begin to know more from Sonal herself. Sonal, 12 years and so many feathers in your caps. Take us through your journey of IAS and bureaucracy.
Thank you so much, Navneet ji. Thank you to the team Bureaucrats India for inviting me for this very prestigious panel discussion. In fact, I am happy that I was also in the launch session, which was there for the website of Bureaucrats India. I remember I was also part of the panel, which was there of the senior officers across various states. So I'm happy to see the progress which Bureaucrats India has been able to do in last few months. And it's very important as officer, I specifically feel that it's very easy to be judgmental and kind of criticize that government is not doing this thing, government does not do that thing. But the platforms like Bureaucrats India are very important today, because I feel that maybe the positive aspects of the administration, the efforts being made by all of us in various parts of the country, need to be shared. And maybe they also help to kind of give an idea to the citizens, give an idea to the people at large, to the public at large, that how also they can take forward the initiatives which we as part of administration are taking. So because there is sometimes there's a communication gap, so initiatives like these are very welcome and they're very important. I congratulate the entire team once again. Now, you have already, Navneet ji, you have already given a very comprehensive and an elaborate introduction about me. So thank you so much for that. If I discuss about myself, so as you have already mentioned, I belong to the 2008 batch of the IAS. Just to go briefly, like when I decided and how I joined civil services. So just to share, I belong to a middle class family based in Panipat district, Haryana. My father is a chartered accountant. So my father actually based his practice, his office in Delhi. And we generally have been living in Delhi, but of course, we have our roots in Haryana. We have our ancestral house there. So when I was doing my graduation from Shriram College of Commerce, I was in third year and I was also doing CS, company secretary, and I had already appeared for the second stage. So at that time, I came across civil services and I felt that it would be a platform which will enable me to use my services to help and reach out to the people and to do something good for the society and the nation. When I discussed this with my parents, especially my father, he became quite apprehensive because, firstly, the reason being we belonging to middle class family, generally the trend was there that after graduation you are kind of supposed to be married, especially if you are a female. Then with civil services, actually there was nobody in our family to have even attempted for civil services. It is a basically a business family. So the apprehensions were like what service I would get, then what cadre I would get, how will I stay if I get a remote area, and then maybe the issues of marriage. So all these apprehensions were there. But then when I told my parents, no, I have to at least appear once. So then my father said, ki, okay, if you have decided, then you go ahead, but you at least do your professional qualifications complete. So he suggested that since I was already doing CS, so he suggested to complete that. And then he suggested that CS and LLB is a very good combination. So in case I don't qualify for civil services, so there should be a fallback career option because, I always wanted to be financially independent. And that I had already conveyed to my parents from, school days only. So after 2003, I mean, I completed my graduation in 2003. In 2004, I completed my CS. 2004 itself, I took admission in law from Delhi University after qualifying an entrance examination. I also started my part-time job as a CS in one of the units of Hero Honda Group. And I also started preparing for civil services. 2004 to 2007, these three things were parallel in my life. Civil services preparation was a focus. I was doing my law and I was also doing my part-time job as CS. And of course, it was, my kind of, I was very clear that civil services is something I would give my 100%. And fortunately or unfortunately, it was in my second attempt that I cleared civil services and the final selection was in 2008. After selection, I got Tripura cadre. At that time, the cadre allocation was done through a kind of a roster system, which moved alphabetically. So I got Manipur Tripura cadre, and I was allotted state of Tripura. Then I joined Tripura after my training at after 1 year of training at Labasna, 2009, I joined Tripura. And initially there was little bit of kind of discomfort because firstly the state is little bit remote if I compare to the northern part of the country. And actually I had never visited that area earlier before I was posted. Then there are language differences, there are cultural differences, fooding habit are different. But nevertheless, I actually kind of accepted that challenge. It was the first time I was staying that far away from my family, but I thought that since it is on my own decision and I have been given this opportunity to serve the people, so I should try to use it in the best possible manner. And then I got married in June 2009. My husband was here, he was working in private sector, and I was there in Tripura. And in Tripura, I was very fortunate to get all kind of field postings. So I was SDM, ADM, then I was CEO of the corporation. Then I was also, at a very short tenure, I was in the secretariat. Then I went on maternity leave. My first child was born. After I joined back, I was posted as DM and collector district Gomati, wherein I served for like 2 years, 3, 4 months. And after that, I came to Haryana. And Haryana, you've already told, my all my postings have been in field. So it has been, 12 year plus has been a quite, I would say, diversified experience. And I feel quite satisfied because I've seen two parts of the country, so the northeast and the northern part of the country. And I feel really, fortunate to have been given this chance.
That's wonderful. We shall get to know much more. As we announced on our social media platforms, please follow us on our social media platforms. Our Twitter handle is Bureaucrats IND, that is Bureaucrats Ind, because this cannot accommodate the entire name. So Bureaucrats IND at That is the Twitter handle. And we are also live on Facebook. Sonalji has a very large followers base. You can also try and get, if you can retweet Sonalji, I think then many people can also have access to that. And the topic today has been inspired again by Sonal, her endeavor, her innovations, her deep passion to help people. The topic today is empathetic administration and how IAS should take the lead. We once again thank Sonal for joining us and helping us to understand as to what does it mean to deploy empathy while being an administrator. Sonal, from Ambassa to Agartala, Jhajjar, and Gurgaon, your stints have been dotted with innovations and effective administrations. I have been lucky to have known you and have closely examined some of your stories of uh, great passion of how you bring about change, real impact in people's life. So, how have you approached administration per se through your different postings and experiences?
During our training at Labasna, I remember in one of the lectures we were during foundation course, we were kind of told that every file has a human face. So, I always try to remember this. So, every file has a human face means that whatever decisions you are taking in the file, it will directly or indirectly impact the public at large. So, it will indirectly or directly, you know, enable you to do a positive thing for them. Or if the decision is not correct, then it may kind of harm them also. So this is very important. So as our topic today says, empathetic administration, the IAS should take the lead. So what we mean by saying that is that as an administrator at whatever position you are sitting, you actually try to put yourself into the shoes of the person at the other end, or the person who is a beneficiary of any government scheme, or the person who comes to your office, or a person who even applies online for getting a certificate, or for that matter getting any pension benefit or any kind of a thing, and you imagine yourself to be in his or her position, and how you would expect the administration to work for you. That psychology or that kind of a thing, you need to understand that if I'm at the other end and I apply for this thing, and I should get this service in the time frame which is defined by the Right to Service Act, or which is for that matter defined by the various protocols or the guidelines which are laid under the relevant act, or the provisions, or any rules framed by the government. So as a citizen, I expect that those things to be followed. And when I am on the other side, when I'm doing and I'm executing, it is very much important that I stick to those timelines and I stick to that protocol. So this is first and foremost thing, if you ask me. And the second thing which I feel that, uh, wherever you are, it is always the people, or it is always the community where you are kind of working, or the community where you are, you're posted, which is very much important. So wherever I have worked, so I have always tried to bring the various kind of organizations, to bring various kind of stakeholders, I would say. So the stakeholders may be in the kind of the RWS, in the kind of the civil society organizations, individuals, NGOs, school, colleges, all these stakeholders which are there in the organization, in the society, they need to be taken into account. Now, and empathy, very, there is one example which I always remember. My first posting, as you already also mentioned, was as SDM Ambassa. So Ambassa is a subdivision of district Dhalai in Tripura, and that was my first posting. I joined there in 2010, I think September 2010. I joined there, and that was my first independent posting after completion of the 2 years training. And in Tripura, you have some hamlets which are tribal dominated. And at that time, so I'm talking about more than 10 years back. So at that time, all there was few hamlets which were not connected directly by road. So one had to walk, say around 8 to 10 kilometers to reach out to those hamlets. So when I, came to know about such areas in my subdivision, so I actually, went there with my team. And because it was required to be covered on foot, some distance was required to be covered on foot. So we would start early in the morning, we would trek, we would cross a few nalas, we would cross, kind of a forested terrain we would pass. And initially my staff was apprehensive, my PSO and my officers, my junior staff, that how would madam go? I mean, so, but then I said, we all as a team would move, so things would be okay. And we actually started going there, and the result was that the administrative setup which was there, so the PHC, the school, the Anganwadi center, which were there earlier not functioning well because of the regular visits from administration. And then we also took the support of the local BSF outpost, because Tripura has a long border with Bangladesh, so BSF has a high presence there, and we have a huge number of border outposts there. So I talked to the commandant there, and he also was very forthcoming. And they actually offered their own BSF campus for the purpose of stay of the teachers, for the purpose of stay of the Anganwadi workers, doctors. And then at least we were ensuring that at least 5 to 6 days in a week, at least 5 days in a week, all these establishments are working. And the children are not deprived of the school education. They are getting the people are getting the basic health. So I mean, this is the kind of I would say a kind of a team effort, which with the involvement of the public there, and we could actually mobilize those areas. And I would mention that there were 7 such tribal hamlets, VCs actually they are called as Tripura Mein. They have village panchayats and they have village committees, and village committees are part of autonomous district council. So they are part of the ADC area, the autonomous district council. So I had 7 village committees like that in my district, in my subdivision. And we actually tried to replicate the same kind of experiment, and we were successful to a large extent. Yeah.
Great. I also must acknowledge today that Sonal has been one of the guiding forces for the launch of Bureaucrats India, because we have another very popular initiative called DCs of India. And in the initial years of, it's been more than 2 years now, we were very lucky to have a lot of stories from Sonal's stint. She was in Jhajjar then, and we would truly, the whole idea being of these platforms that we want to celebrate positivity. Honorable Prime Minister, I am told, is very fond of saying that we must celebrate positivity on social media. We have seen how, and digital platforms, we have seen how the success of Swachh Bharat mission, for instance, has been largely been attributed to the use, a widespread use and direct communication of the government with the people through social media. The launch of Bureaucrats India, I missed that out. Thank you. We are grateful to Sonal for having guided us, and she was one of our key participants there. It was on 12th of September that we had launched the website, and we are closing 3 months now. And thank you for your generous guidance and support, Sonal. I think we are doing well. Now, I request my colleague, Naina Jha, to take the conversation forward. She has many more queries to ask of Sonal, and I'll request Naina to take over. She's the Associate Editor of Bureaucrats India. Over to Naina.
Thank you so much, sir. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you, Naina ji.
So my question is, one of the sore points for public when it comes to administration has been the lack of adequate attention to citizens' concerns. Without any prejudice, it is perceived that this is more glaring in lower rung of the bureaucracy. How do you think that can be addressed?
Yes, to an extent, even today, we are hearing that, there's apathy, especially at the level of, we say, street level bureaucracy. So, for example, in police, the constable or the jawan who is there, even below the SHO, a beat constable. If we are talking about administration in a tehsil, a naib tehsildar, or even a tehsildar, so because of their attitude, which has developed over a period, because we have this legacy, this service. If I'm not to talk about IAS alone, about the civil services and bureaucracy also. So there's a history and there's a colonial legacy when the services came into being, and then after that, different states have their state civil services, and besides the state civil services, we have other kind of exams. So exams for the uh, appointment of the tehsildar, the block development officers, or village kanungos, etc., etc. So this kind of a mindset at especially the lower level needs to change. But I'm very happy to share that now, slowly and steadily, because of the e-governance reforms, because of the transparency which is coming into place. So we are moving towards the digitalization. So if you're talking about the work of a tehsil, most of the states have now softwares. Most of the states have now all the services made online. So if a person needs a map or revenue map of his plot, of his or her plot, he can go to the for example, in Haryana there is a e-Bhumi portal. On e-Bhumi portal, you can actually have a login. You create a login, and then you can get access all information about your area, about your land on that. And also the sale and purchase, all these kind of transactions now they are online. If you want to obtain any certificate, for example, a birth certificate or a death certificate or marriage certificate, so now the human interface or the human element has reduced to a large extent. Recently we saw the Indian Revenue Service income tax has gone faceless last in November only. So all these initiatives are kind of trying to eliminate the human interface, trying to minimize the human intervention, and making the things accessible. Of course, I agree to the point that still internet connectivity in various parts of the country is not 100%. Still, we are having those issues, and not everybody has access to the internet. But for that purpose, states have these kiosks. State has those citizen service centers. State has those common facilitation centers. So CFCs, CSCs, all these are kind of existing in various parts of the country, and it is all the more important for us sitting at a relatively higher level to train our people. So training of the people who are dealing with these services is very much a focus, and giving them the knowledge of use of computers, giving them their digital literacy, that also is also a focus area of of most of the governments presently in the entire country. And it is a very positive trend which is coming, that the thing which you mentioned, that the attitude of the officers at the lower level, at the street level, this needs to change. So this is of course changing, but yes, I think it would take some more time to have that kind of a parity which we see in other countries. Yeah. But yes, of course, a positive trend has already initiated. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So, taking a cue from what you said, how do you look at the idea of empathetic administration? And how can IAS take the lead to ensure that there is a culture of cooperation and empathy vis-a-vis citizens' grievances?
So, when I mentioned in my initial remarks that you should be having the thing in mind that the file has a human face, and the decision which you are taking, it's going to impact the other person. So when you're talking about empathy, it is very important to feel that at the other end, maybe you are the beneficiary, and you should behave or you should deliver in the manner in which you would expect the administration to deliver for you, or the administration to work for you. That is very important. Once that thing is clear to you, I think you will have that moral courage, you will have that clarity in mind, and your decision would be very much balanced. So, as IS officer, I feel that we have to take the ownership of whatever decision we are taking. So for that matter, that conviction to our own self that yes, this is right, and this is right because this will lead to such and such benefit to the concerned person, or maybe to citizen or the public at large, and knowing well that it may have some repercussion personally to you, because we are working in a ecosystem. So ecosystem has different stakeholders, and not everybody would be pleased by the decision which you are taking. There may be some interest, some vested interest, which may be harmed by your decision. There might be some lobby, there might be some, it may be a political, or it may be any kind of a group which is having some interest, so it may be impacting them. But nevertheless, it should not be impacting your decision. You have to be upright, you have to think that you are taking the decision in a right and the earnest approach, and whatever be the fallout, you are ready to face it. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हमारी सर्विस में ट्रांसफर होता है, ट्रांसफर के बियॉन्ड वी नो जनरली कुछ नहीं किया जा सकता है, unless and until you do anything against the service conduct rules. So if of course an officer falls off, and if there is anything on the ground of the service conduct rules, of course we are liable to be facing the disciplinary proceedings. But if nothing of that sort, and you are procedurally correct, and procedurally you are right, and you are aware, you are convinced about that, go ahead. And I think nothing much one can take off from you if you are yourself convinced. So I always feel that खुद आपके माइंड में क्लैरिटी होनी चाहिए, एंड यू शुड बी कन्विंस्ड कि मैंने ये जो डिसीजन लिया है ये मैंने ठीक लिया है, इसके आगे पब्लिक को ये फायदा मिलेगा, अगर कोई नुकसान होता है तो उसके लिए जिम्मेवारी मेरी रहेगी. दिस यू शुड बी टेकिंग दैट ओनरशिप.
So, ma'am, if we talk about administrative setup, IAS officers are the most vital cog in our administrative setup. How important is empathy for them?
Empathy is very much important, because unless and until you kind of feel the other person's requirement, or you feel the other person's necessity, you will not be able to deliver. There are various programs. I would say Navneet ji ne initial remarks mein mention ki about Swachh Bharat Mission. So chahe Swachh Bharat Mission ho, or it's a Beti Bachao Beti Padhao program, or Jal Shakti Abhiyan. तो ये सारे जो programs है, all these flagship programs are based on the way society takes this program, and they are very much based on the needs of the society. So why Honorable Prime Minister launched Beti Bachao Beti Padhao program? Earlier we have PCPNDT Act. So the enforcement and the implementation of PCPNDT Act was very much important, and in all the district there was an officer in charge under the PCPNDT Act, and we were trying to look at the issue and address the issue of female feticide. But still India has patriarchal mindset, and there are imbalances, there are gender imbalances. So when Honorable Prime Minister launched this campaign, not everybody could understand ki beti bachao beti padhao, I mean, how would it be taken forward. And now it is the second stint, so it is now more than 5 years, and we all see the kind of importance this program has gained in field, the kind of pride which we as citizens are taking, taking any initiative under Beti Bachao Beti Padhao. I would myself share that I was DM and collector Gomti district, in 2014. So Tripura may the sex ratio is better than the national average. So the SRB, as per the 2011 census, that was better than the national average. But 2 districts were chosen in the 100 pilot districts. So I'm talking about 2015, January 2015, when the scheme was launched. And out of 2 districts, one was Gomti district, where I was posted in 2015. So when this program was launched, when this campaign was launched, initially one was not able to understand in the district, especially. Then we kind of tried to align every initiative, every aspect of the administration, whether it was education, whether it was social welfare, whether it was health. Everything was, aligned to Beti Bachao Beti Padhao program. We gave the campaign a name, Nandini. And, under Nandini campaign, we were able to, amalgamate all the major departments of the district to do something or the other for the welfare of women and girl child in the district, and also to involve the various stakeholders groups. So whether it is media, whether it is civil society, whether they are the schools or the colleges, everybody came forth. And so this was the kind of the empathy which I felt. And I always feel that if you're empathetic, you will feel the necessity or the requirement of that program also. So for example, me as a woman, I would say that I have seen during my childhood, women in various parts of my life. So as I've observed my mother, my grandmother, my cousins, other relatives, and of course, when I was in my school, my college, the other female colleagues. Still, I feel that a lot more needs to be done. So I actually try that whatever in my whatever capacity I can do something for the welfare of the or the upliftment of the women or the girls. I feel really happy because they have that spark. Most of the girls, they have their own aspirations, they have their dreams, but many a times it is a situation, or many a times it is the constraints or the limitations in which they are there. Maybe their parents are not affluent, or they have a joint family and they are not able to support. Sometimes they are not able to achieve. So I feel that as part of administration, or even in my personal capacity, if I can do something for the for a girl, for a woman, I really feel very happy. So it is very important to be empathetic. And if you are empathetic, if you are compassionate, basically you need to be a good human being. So whatever qualities we are talking about for an officer, basically it is talking about maintaining that balance. And herein I would mention that emotional intelligence, a thing which is being very much talked about these days. So emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, which is also talking about maintaining not only the balance within your own self as a person, as an individual, but also in your interpersonal relations with your subordinates, interpersonal relations with your colleagues, interpersonal relations in the society or the paraphernalia where you are working, where you are staying, your family. That is also very important. So irrespective of any job, any profile, I think it is important for all of us.
Very
think,
rightly said, ma'am.
Naina, your question to your next, answer to your next question has also largely been covered by
Right.
Sonalji in
Right,
this. So
sir.
you can skip that question and go to the
Yes.
next one. Just by way of a mild intervention, today also happens to be, we must celebrate and recall with pride late Dr. Rajendra Prasad, our first president. He was a fabulous, a great intellectual, a visionary, much ahead of his times. He also, grew up in a small village in Bihar, which is my birthplace, and he was also a great administrator. So we salute Dr. Rajendra Prasad today, and I'm sure administrators like Sonal bring a lot of these values of Indianness, of the spirit of public service into what they do, and we truly salute those that spirit. Over to you, Nana.
So, ma'am, talking about bureaucracy and empathy, how aligned is Indian bureaucracy with the spirit of empathy? And how can the virtue of empathy be inculcated among young officers, in particular those who are from the Indian Administrative Service?
You know, as I mentioned earlier, an officer actually cannot work effectively if he or she is not empathetic, or if he or she is not compassionate, or if he or she is not, aware of the requirements of the stakeholders. So it is very important. And I would say largely the Indian bureaucracy is empathetic. Of course, we are working in a limitation. I mean, we have various kinds of limitations. Sometimes we have fund constraints. Sometimes we have human power constraint. We have human resource constraint. Sometimes we have technological constraint, which private sector has, been able to take some kind of a leap forward. In administration, I would also admit that we have a kind of we don't have a kind of a proper motivation at our place. So the kind of the carrot and stick policy or the various reward systems which are existing in the private sector, they are to an extent missing in government. We have time bound promotions. So you are you're promoted as a batch, even at the lower levels also. I mean, you don't have those kind of reward systems. So why I'm talking about this is that sometimes as a outsider, sometimes as a common man, you feel that government is not doing this thing, government should not have done this thing like this, इसमें ऐसा करना चाहिए था, या ये काम नहीं हो रहा, टाइम पे नहीं हो रहा, and we kind of try to criticize. But please try and understand that government is also working on a limitation. Sometimes money nahi hota hai, sometimes we are lacking on time, sometimes we are lacking on the human power. Of course, it is also the responsibility of the government to overcome these challenges, but we cannot deny that these are existing, firstly. Secondly, it is very important to be empathetic within your organization also. So how your colleague or how your subordinate is feeling at that particular moment, it is also very important for you to understand as a leader and to get the things executed. So मेरा हमेशा से ये कोशिश रहता है that I know that as an individual I can achieve nothing. In an organization wherever I am posted, I am also a single individual. And even if I would like to do 100 things, I will not be able to do it individually. So I need my support staff, I need manpower. So it is very important to keep your team motivated. So I always try that. Firstly, my team is motivated. I develop a kind of a spirit, esprit de corps in them, and they should take the things forward even if I move out of the organization. So that sustainability is also very important. And for that, they have to take that ownership. So ownership कब आएगी? जब आप उनको independence देंगे, जब आप उनको skills देंगे, when you also giving them some training and capacity building, and you're giving them that this is your project, so you have to take it forward. Of course, checks and balances need to be there, because we are using public funds, we are using, we are accountable to the public at large, and all the government schemes and funds are liable to audit. So all those financial principles of prudence need to be followed, but I always try to have that kind of a motivation mechanism, have that carrot and stick policy, punish those who are not doing, and kind of appreciate and reward those who are doing. So in Jhajjar district, I actually started an initiative, Star Department Awards. So Star Department Awards, we started an initiative wherein we set 3 categories. So 3 categories we had devised, and we actually devised a form in which the departments of the district had to apply. And there were 3 categories and different parameters. And there was independent committee which was formed, and these awards were given every month. So every month this was kind of being given, and it became such a kind of motivation to the departments that generally अगर उनके खुद के डिपार्टमेंट से अगर कोई वो होता है, रिवॉर्ड होता है, it is generally annual. sometimes annual hota bhi nahi hai, they may not be getting that opportunity. So it was a kind of a two-way mechanism which we created. So the documentation was very important, and along with the documentation, independent feedback from the beneficiaries in field, that was also very important. And there was a kind of a competitive spirit in the departments, and it was coming up very well. So this is one small example. So I reiterated again that it is very important to create that ownership, to create that motivation. And Indian bureaucracy is not devoid of empathy. We are very much empathetic, we are very much concerned, we are very much appreciative of the needs of the citizens and public at large.
Yes, ma'am. So moving ahead, the entire world is facing this pandemic called coronavirus. So during this coronavirus pandemic, the need of empathy and sympathy was greatly felt in dealing with what was an extraordinary situation. What is your view on that?
Yeah, definitely humanity, in 2020, since in fact end of the March of this year, I mean just immediately after Holi, I would say that we have been facing this kind of a pandemic which has, changed the way we have been living life before that. And it has changed the way, to an extent, the services are being delivered, or, we are kind of administering. When this pandemic was, I mean, it is still there. So during these months, initial months, I was actually posted at Gurugram, and I had two charges. I was CEO of the City Bus Service, CEO GMCBL, and additional CEO Gurugram Metropolitan Development Authority. And just to mention, we all know that Gurugram is the metropolitan and kind of the large city of Haryana, and we have a diverse mix of population. So the population from the migrant population, the people living in slums, people working in private sector, even the foreign nationals who are working in MNCs, and of course the industries. So all, and very informed and educated citizens who are there in various, societies, DLF, golf course, all those extension areas. So there was a multitude of the population which was to the multitude of the needs of the various varied kind of population which had to be addressed to. And administration, I would mention that in Gurugram, they actually kind of turned as a team. So even though I was part of GMDA, but we were very much uh, together as part of the district. So the Deputy Commissioner Office, the Municipal Corporation, the Office of the Commissioner of Police, HSVP or the Huda Department, Health Department, all of us worked in a tandem. And as a CEO GMCBL, I would mention that, I personally felt that we had a fleet of 200 buses which were there. So since the transport was under lockdown, there was no transport services were being operated. So I actually converted few of the buses to mobile grocery shops. So mobile grocery shops may we actually tied up with the corporation, and we were making these buses available for the delivery of rations, essential food items, fruits and vegetables to different RWS societies. And that came up very well because people were getting the essential supplies at their doorstep. Also, as part of the CSR, actually, GMCBL at their own level, we started some distribution drives to the people living in slum areas, food packets, food items. We also used our buses for transportation of the people, the migrant laborers to the relief shelter camps. Our buses were used for transportation of the patients, COVID-19 patients to and fro from the hospital, medical teams, and also we started one bus as a mobile testing facility with tie-up with a private lab. So, all these things we could do because I felt that, it is our duty, it is our moral responsibility to help out to the people in this crisis. And even though it is a small fleet of the 200 buses, but I'm very happy that the buses were not idle, and the buses actually, following all safety protocols, We were using these buses in different parts wherever required. Also, GMDA, I would mention that GMDA has good infrastructure there, and all the big projects are being implemented in Gurugram through GMDA. So we had integrated command and control center ICCC, which had 300 cameras in the entire city Gurugram. So we converted this ICCC into a war room, into COVID war room, wherein we were not only monitoring the violations of the traffic, I mean through the police department deployed their team at ICCC. Also, we were, using these to ensure that people are following lockdown, there are no crowds. We were also having the data with respect to the health indicators, environment. So we were sharing with all the departments. Also, we developed app. So the app had one Gurugram map. So the app had all relevant information. Movement passes were being issued. So, there was a kind of, I mean, the response which was there, it was very much specific to the need of the situation. And not only Gurugram, in various other parts of the state, in various other districts, similar things were done, and in various other parts of the country. Different states have come up with various different models of delivering, reaching out to the people during COVID-19. And now, of course, we are even more moving towards paperless administration. Even though GMDA, GMCBL has been already a paperless organization since last year. So our work is totally on e-office. Now other organizations of Haryana are also moving, and various other state governments have decided, and they are slowly and steadily shifting towards e-office, e-governance. I mean the files movement is also being done electronically. So all these things, COVID-19 has in fact taught us a lot as part of administration. And also one last thing here I would like to add, that administration has also seen the involvement and the support of various stakeholder organizations. So we have seen various NGOs, civil society organizations coming forward and taking the responsibility along with the administration, wherein distributing food to the people in slum areas, giving them ration. So many people, so many public spirited citizens, they have come forward and shouldered that responsibility. And it's very happy to see this kind of solidarity at the time of these crises.
वंडरफुल। बहुत सारी कहानियां हैं सोनल जी, आपको बहुत बधाई। आप लोगों ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया। मुझे याद है जब हम लोग एक शुरू में एक वेबिनार किए थे, उसमें भी आपने एक बहुत ही अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन दिया था, कैसे आप लोगों ने कोविड के पीक पे उस तरह के मल्टी लेयर्ड इंटरवेंशन बाय इनकॉर्पोरेटिंग मल्टीपल स्टेक होल्डर्स, एंड इट वाज अमेजिंग। मैं थोड़ा अगर गलत करूंगा अगर थोड़ा सा सोनल जी के बारे में और नहीं बताऊं अपने साथियों को। सोनल जी जो इनका बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस था बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ कैंपेन का, उसमें आप माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदय से मिलने गई थी एक डेलीगेशन के साथ। आपने जो एक्टिविटीज की झज्जर में, वो जो एक मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ विमेन एंड चाइल्ड वेल डिपार्टमेंट का एक गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने रिलीज किया था, उसका फोटो बुक था, उसमें आपके इंटरवेंशंस और एक्टिविटीज की व्याख्या की गई थी।
जस्ट टू ऐड टू दैट नवनीत जी, in fact I am so happy कि उस फोटो बुक में मेरी एक्टिविटीज एज डीएम एंड कलेक्टर गोमती भी था, और उसी बुक में एज डिप्टी कमिश्नर झज्जर भी था।
Oh, wonderful.
So, yeah, so the booklet had my, kind of not my contribution, my team's contribution at both the places, Gomti as well as Jhajjar, in one booklet.
So proud of you and compliments for that. ये एक बहुत अवार्ड्स जीत चुकी हैं। एक आउटस्टैंडिंग वुमेन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर अवार्ड मिला इनको, सोनल को डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर झज्जर को एक प्लैटिनम CSR अवार्ड मिला था 2017-18 में, और माननीय मुख्यमंत्री हरियाणा ने वो अवार्ड दिया था। और इस तरह की बहुत सारी उपलब्धियां हैं जो इनको डॉक्टर APJ अब्दुल कलाम इनोवेशंस इन गवर्नेंस अवार्ड This was given by Honorable Vice Chairman Niti Aayog at Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Summit in Feb 2019. Also, she has been one of the most prolific IAS officers, influencers on social media. We'll have a question on that, but just before that, something that is very, very close to heart. ये इनके दिल के बहुत करीब है. As a woman officer, Sonal ji, आपको क्या लगता है कि how important is the role of women officers in empathetic administration? आप चूंकि वो करती आ रही हैं, आपका एक नजरिया है उस बारे में, आपसे जानना चाहेंगे. शायद किसी कारणवश सोनल जी का डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया है. विल वेट. तब तक मैं सोनल के बारे में और कुछ बता दूं. सोनल के पति भी एक ब्यूरोक्रेट हैं. आदित्य एक IRS ऑफिसर हैं. सोनल ने बहुत सारे फॉरेन ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स भी अटेंड किए हैं, जैसे इनका स्टडी ऑफ Naina, you can intervene when while I read about his profile the moment she is here back with us. She has study of transit oriented development at London, UK, organized by NIUN MOUD, that is Ministry of Urban Development. She was part of Indian delegation to study Smart Cities mission implementation at NSW, Sydney, Australia, organized by Niti Aayog. Attended regional symposium by UNDSA, and so on and so forth. As commissioner, there are some commissioner of Municipal Corporation Faridabad and CEO of Faridabad Smart City Limited. She had brought in a lot of best practices, and that won her, the Faridabad was ranked as the fastest moving city at national level under Swachh Sarvekshan in May 2017. That's an annual survey done by Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India. Over the past 3 months, as we said, Bureaucrats India has been bringing out a lot of stories of good governance, celebrating positivity, celebrating how our bureaucrats across the country are doing multiple innovations and interventions which are extremely deeply impacting people's lives. Like I said, the objective of Bureaucrats India and DCs of India has been to celebrate positivity, to celebrate good governance. She is back. And welcome, Sonal ji. Now, I was asking you about role of women officer when it comes to deploying of empathy. आप अपने तजुर्बे से कुछ बताएं हमारे दर्शकों को.
I would say there are two aspects which we all need to appreciate. So one aspect is that over the years, our service, whether it is IAS, IPS, or state civil services, we have come a long way. And the percentage of women officers at various levels, so our junior level, senior level, it is increasing. But it does not mean that there are no prejudices. Frankly, I would say that there are certain, obviously there are certain roles which we as women have to take responsibility of. So, taking care of a child, bearing a child, giving birth to a baby, and then, initially few months as a mother, it is your whole and soul responsibility. Of course, your husband, your family is there to support, but there are certain things which you as a mother only have to take care of. And, at various points in life, there are some family responsibilities which we as women cannot shirk off. So one thing is important, that we all need to understand the requirements of women. So when I'm saying that, I expect my seniors also to appreciate this fact. And it is also my responsibility to, in fact, have the same kind of feeling for the other women colleagues who are working with me, who are subordinate to me, or maybe, who are there as part of my team. So it is very important to understand that even, in various states, I would say there are few postings, there is that are still preferably not being given to lady officers. Let me put it like that, that there are certain postings in field, there are certain postings at the headquarter, which are still preferably, they think that maybe a woman officer would not be able to, give time or do justice, and so they prefer a male officer to be posted there. Nevertheless, things are changing for a positive. Things are changing for for the good cause, and unless and until we have that kind of a balance in our recruitment, it is very important to have some kind of a good percentage in the recruitment, and then you'll have women at all the levels. We have women chief secretaries, we have now women DGPs, we have women officers, manning various departments in Government of India, heading various departments at the state level. So the gap is, being bridged. We are moving way forward, but still lot needs to be done. Also, the other aspect which I would like to mention, that is maybe by nature, I am not saying that we are soft, but I would say that we are more empathetic and kind of having that kind of a compassion. I think some trait is there, as a woman. So therefore, when I told that I always feel that I should be doing this thing for a women of my place, of my district. So, that is the reason why I feel that it is my responsibility also to encourage. It is my also the responsibility to, to support the other women who are there in that area, in that district. Nandini, which I talked about, in Gomti district, Tripura, a very first kind of a initiative I took there, setting up a creche. So, in Tripura, there was, because it's a kind of a more or less a rural state, so we don't have many of the private play schools. And in the district Gomti, there were hardly one or two private play schools. So I actually noticed that two or three of my lady staff, so who were lower division clerks, who were like of the rank of the even peon, so they were bringing actually their small kids to the office. I actually noticed that they were bringing their small kids who were not going to school, so 2 year, 3 year old kid to the office, and वो office में उनको लेके आ रहे हैं. They are also taking care of the needs of the child. Office का भी काम कर रहे हैं, and they are doing their office work very diligently. But I felt that something should be done. So हमने एक अपने ऑफिस कॉम्प्लेक्स के अंदर ही we opened a creche. So I'm talking about 2015. So we started a creche, and this was first kind of an initiative in the entire state. And to begin with, I think there were 5 or 6 women who started using this facility. And later on, of course, more came forth because we had a system and we attached 2 Anganwadi workers who were there as the caretaker. And we gave a lively environment, जैसे kids का एक छोटा सा play school होता है, that kind of environment we could actually give to them, and without diversion of any fund. So under one scheme, I had some resource available. उसके अंदर हमने ये किया. So these small initiatives, we kind of take. When I was SDM Ambassa, so I'm talking about 2010. At that time, urban elections were there. I mean, the municipal elections were there. And at that time, it was the first time that we formed an all women polling station. So all women polling station में women polling team as well as women security police personnel. So I talked with my SP, who was very cooperative, and I told him कि एक पुलिस स्टेशन करेंगे. So उन्होंने बोला कि आफ्टर रैंडमाइजेशन जिस भी पोलिंग स्टेशन पे women polling team move करेगी, we'll give a women police force only there. And it came as first of its own kind of exercise in the state. So I'm talking about 2010. And the women, when they were back at the receiving center at the strong room, for submission of their ballot boxes. So I still remember, I have a photograph with them, the kind of confidence they had, those ladies working as teachers or, LDCs in different, I think some bank officer and teachers, and they had never done that kind of a thing in their entire life, and they never imagined also कि वो इस तरीके का duty करेंगे, and they felt so happy. And then after that it came as a practice. We all know now having an all women polling station is a practice across the country also. But I'm talking about the initial steps which you take in the place where you are posted. As a woman, maybe you become more empathetic, not to undermine the efforts of male officers. Many male officers have done wonderful work as far as the aspect of empathy, compassion, or that human element is concerned. But of course, we all need to improvise on that. And of course, I would say that women representation at all levels in government still needs to improve a lot. Yeah.
Thank you very much. As usual, always a delight to hear your fresh perspective that you bring into any topic. Thank you. हमारे बहुत साथी फेसबुक से जुड़े हुए हैं, मेरे टीम के लोग अभी कुछ क्वेश्चंस लाएंगे, बस एक या दो और क्वेश्चंस, एंड देन वी गो एंड ट्राई एंड आंसर सम क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम आवर फेसबुक पे. आप सोशल मीडिया का प्रयोग बहुत ही इफेक्टिवली करती हैं, बहुत अच्छे से करती हैं, एंड यू bring about a fine mix of not only informing people about government policies, programs, raising issues of public concern, but also bring out a lot of motivational stuff. I still remember your series on the jogging and how you're inspiring people, and you have multiple followers also. Now, I have two things to request your perspective on. Number one, how is it that you look at social media when it comes to administration? And two, there is this challenge of what is called misinformation, disinformation, and fake news being staring at us. What is your take on this, Sonalji?
Very rightly said that social media nowadays has become so much necessary, and we as part of administration, we are using it to a large extent. So every state has a kind of a e-governance mechanism. So we have various portals on which information is available. We have now to state, in fact in Haryana it is mandatory for the office of the deputy commissioner and superintendent of police to have their Twitter handles, to have their presence on Facebook and other kind of social media platforms. So I feel that social media, is bridging the gap of information. It is giving the readily information available to public at large. For example, you want to share about any crisis situation, you put on Twitter and you will see that, the help reaches out to you. During COVID-19, I remember that many a times I would I was receiving requests from people of various parts of the country, from Odisha, from Bihar, from Rajasthan, that their colleagues are stranded in Gurugram and they need help, and they would mention the contact number also. And we were able to reach out to them very swiftly. So firstly it is a kind of a one-way connect, and secondly it also gives you a platform to share the information which is of very critical nature. For example, getting a blood donation or plasma donation. So you post a message on Twitter, or you post circulate in your WhatsApp groups, and then you're able to find So these timely helps, it is very important to get through social media. And also I would mention, when I was, Deputy Commissioner Jhajjar, there was a campaign called Sanji Madad, which we initiated. Sanji Madad was actually a kind of a collaborative initiative with the society, wherein we were requesting people to donate in kind. Donate in kind, no cash, donate in kind, I mean clothes, books, anything, shoes, toys, anything which the other person can use. So we started this initiative, and this initiative became instrumental in mobilizing things during the Kerala flood. So when the Kerala floods came, and we were, we were trying to send the relief items to the Kerala flood victims to the CM Kerala Relief Fund. So we could mobilize 4 trucks of material from Jhajjar itself. And just to mention that that was the first time we kind of requested people to donate towards the relief fund also through Sanji Madad. That was the first and the last time when we asked for donation for sending forward to the CM Kerala Relief Fund. And I am very happy to share that around 90 lakh of rupees was collected through Sanji Madad. 90 lakh of rupees from a small district of Jhajjar in Haryana, and 4 trucks of relief material. That was the strength of social media. I posted on Twitter, my district Facebook page handle, we shared in WhatsApp groups, and Indian Express in fact covered our district story at the national level. So it's very heartening to see the power of social media. Of course, the second point which you mentioned, the fake news, the issue of fake news, misinformation, and so this is also very important to guard against. And we, as part of administration, we have to be very careful what we, or even our junior, if somebody else is working in your team and he or she is posting a tweet on your behalf, so please ensure that there is no misinformation. Secondly, we see many kind of hate mongers, or people who are spreading the hatred in the society. They are using abusive language, even on social media I've seen, so offensive language they are using. So I think we all should refrain. And also, if we come across any such kind of a post, any such kind of an abusive or a misinformative post, we should immediately report it to the authority. We should immediately also report it to Facebook or Twitter. There is a mechanism to report. We should definitely do that. And this fake news is something which we all should desist from spreading forth, and you should be actually very cautious. This is very important, that whatever you are seeing on Twitter, whatever you are seeing on Facebook or Instagram need not be true. So once you are reposting, or if you are resharing it at your own platform, at your own handle, you should be doubly convinced that this information is correct. Then only please do share. And we should never use these platforms for spreading misinformation. Always use for sharing the positive stories, sharing the positive work being done by various kinds of stakeholders and the groups. Yeah.
Thank you. And the last question, I understand, I know that you have a family function to attend. And
Yeah,
therefore
I have actually another meeting lined up, a small kind of a meeting at 6 o'clock.
Okay, so we will try and wrap up in next 7 minutes, sharp. Now, last question, Sonal, about your understanding, or how do you draw from the management? I have seen in you the elements of motivation, leadership, time management, cross-functional group you manage very effectively. Where do you draw your inspiration from, or what is it that motivates you?
So, we all as humans, we have 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week. So this is the time available to all of us. So first and foremost is setting your priorities is very important. So my priority is work, my priority is some time to the family, my priority is also to give a little bit of time to my own self, right? So this is very important. This kind of clarity in your mind is very important. Secondly, whenever you are working wherever you are working, wherever you are posted, it is very important, as I mentioned earlier, to create teams. So unless and until you have a team with you, you won't be able to deliver. As a leader, you have to show that kind of a trust in your team. If required, you need to guide them, you need to counsel them, and you also need to rectify if you feel they are faltering, if they are not following the proper rules and the guidelines, or if there is any issue. It is also your role and responsibility as a mentor to guide them and to rectify them. Motivation is very important, especially in government. As I mentioned earlier, we don't have those kinds of reward systems everywhere. So if your junior staff is doing well and he is giving 12 to 14 hours of work in a day, and you feel that he or she needs to be appreciated, definitely go ahead and do. We all have pressure times in our work, so it may be an election duty, or it may be law and order situation, or a VVIP visit in your district, in your place, or in your state. So all these are the testing times, and if you will have good teams with you, you will be able to sail through it. Otherwise, believe me that people would be there with you, but they would be working without their full involvement. So they should feel it is their own task. Instead of madam ka task, it is their own task, and it is their own responsibility जिसको उनको comply करना है, which the task which they have to fulfill. And I think that is most important, and that kind of faith, trust, that depends on the way you are leading, the way you are kind of motivating them. And I would say, last thing here, that your emotional quotient, please give attention to that in whatever profession you are, not only as an administrator, even in private sector. So how you are behaving with your peers, how you are behaving with your subordinates, how you are behaving with your kids, your spouse, your family, that is also very important. And give attention to your mental health also, an aspect which we during COVID have seen so many mental trauma people are facing. The way life we were having earlier, it has changed. We are not socializing, we are not meeting physically. These kind of virtual platforms have come forth. So so that physical connect is missing, and it is leading to some mental issues. But do yoga, meditation, run, exercise, whatever you like, listen to music or write, whatever you like, please do that, and give attention to the mental health. That is also very important. And try and be happy, try and be whatever may come, try to be always thinking that yes, something good will happen. That is very important.
Thank you. We do not have much time, but I wish to acknowledge all those who have joined. Thanks to the power of social media, our reach so far shows about 12,000. But we have some comments. We thank you, Suresh Samaria, Sahajveer Sandilya, Sonu Yadav Aryaji, Ajay Sahni, Iron King, Radheshyam Tiwari, Rajendra Singh Bhatti, Aniket Sagar, Dinesh Dangwal, Kailash Maru, Ajay Panwar, Ujwasi Sharma, Rajesh Chichani, Surinder Yadav, Agam Gupta, Afjal Sheikh, Chandan Kumar, Pradeep Dhiman, and Rahul Arora, and Parvinder Singh. Now, this is one question that would interest many, and therefore, just one question we have time for from Parvinder Singh.
Ma'am, no problem. We can take 2 or 3 questions, no issues, since they have waited for long. Yeah, maybe 3 questions.
Okay, all right. Parvinder Singh says, ma'am, how do you do your time, life, and family management while serving as civil servant?
Parvinder ji, it is very important, not only as a civil servant, I would say as a human being, it is very important to manage your both personal and professional life. चाहे आप प्राइवेट सेक्टर में हो, चाहे आप बिजनेस करते हो, चाहे आप पढ़ाई कर रहे हो, it is very important to give time to both. And I understand that there are some compulsions. Sometimes you need to give more time to family, sometimes your work becomes more pressurizing. As I mentioned, as part of administration, we have VVIP duties, we have elections, we have law and order, we have other kind of urgent tasks, and sometimes we tend to neglect family. And as humans, we all face this issue, but it is very important कि हम कोशिश at least करें. You at least try and balance out. I have in my family, I have 2 kids, and I am very fortunate to have a supportive spouse. My kids, by God's grace, are very, they are very adjusting in nature, and they never kind of complain that, Mama, you are not giving us time. It is my own guilt which actually makes me feel that, I am not able to give them the time. But it's very, at my part, I actually try to do that balance. And, in the entire world, in the entire ecosystem of the world, this family is the small ecosystem in which you are surviving. And this family would be there with you always. Be whatever may come, जो आपकी immediate family है, जो आपके साथ घर में रह रहे हैं, वही आपके साथ हमेशा खड़े रहेंगे. Of course, we have all good friends, we have relatives, but this family will never desert you in whatever, issue you are in, whatever problem you are. So just try to be with them whenever they need you, and also be, truthful कि हाँ हमको family के लिए time देना है, हमें work life balance को maintain करना है. Give some time to your own self also. Don't feel that you are acting selfish. वो आपको feeling आएगी. Even I feel that, sometimes, you are doing exercise, or if I'm doing running, I feel that this time I'm investing on me. But I think it is very important because it enables me to, become a better person. It enables me to become happy. If you are happy, of course, your productivity at work, your productivity at family would definitely be better. So never neglect your own self, never neglect the family.
एक साथी, आप जब थोड़ी देर के लिए डिस्कनेक्ट हुई थी तो मैंने आपकी पर्सनल लाइफ के बारे में थोड़ा बताया था लोगों को. मैंने बताया कि आपके पति ऑल्सो इज एन ब्यूरोक्रेट, इज एन IRS ऑफिसर. एक
Yes.
साथी पूछ रहे हैं कि आप थोड़ा अपने माता पिताजी के बारे में बताइए मुझे.
ओके. सो मेरे जैसे बताया कि मेरे फादर हरियाणा से बिलोंग करते हैं, पानीपत डिस्ट्रिक्ट से. पापा ने CA करी, तो पापा ने उन दिनों, मतलब आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट 70s, जब उन्होंने अपने ग्रेजुएशन के बाद में ही टुक दैट डिसीजन की फैमिली बिजनेस में ज्वाइन ना करके ही वांटेड टू डू फर्दर स्टडीज. और उन्होंने फिर CA क्वालिफाई किया, एंड देन ही शिफ्टेड टू दिल्ली फॉर एस्टैब्लिशिंग हिज प्रैक्टिस. मेरी मदर होम मेकर हैं, और मेरी मम्मी का हमारे ऊपर इतना सपोर्ट रहा. इनफैक्ट मेरे पेरेंट्स की वजह से ही आज शायद मैं यहाँ तक पहुँच पाई. आई हैव एल्डर सिस्टर हु इज ऑल्सो अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट, एंड यंगर ब्रदर हु इज ऑल्सो अ CA. तो क्योंकि मेरे पेरेंट्स का, स्पेशली बीइंग अ फीमेल, आई फील कि वी वर फॉर्चुनेट कि उस टाइम में जब हम पढ़ाई करते थे तो रिलेटिव्स ये भी आके मेरे पापा को बोले, जब मैं सिविल्स की तैयारी कर रही थी, कि अपनी बेटियों को इतना पढ़ा के आप क्या कर लोगे, अल्टीमेटली तो शादी ही होनी है, तो इनकी टाइम से शादी कर दो. बट माय फादर यूज्ड टू से कि एजुकेशन एक ऐसा गिफ्ट है जो हमें अपने बच्चों को देना चाहिए, इरिस्पेक्टिव दे आर मेल और फीमेल. और ये मैं इनको अब सक्षम बनाऊंगा. आगे इनको अपने पैरों पे खड़े होने के बाद आगे क्या करना है वो उनका खुद का डिसीजन है. तो ये मेरे पापा ने हमेशा मेरे रिलेटिव्स को बात जब बोलते थे, हमारे ऊपर बहुत प्रेशर रहता था कि हमें, जो पापा ने, जो मम्मी ने हमारे ऊपर जो फेथ जो दिखाया है, और जो वो सबकी बातों का जवाब दे रहे हैं, उस पे खरा उतरना है. दिस वाज एक्चुअली एन एडेड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑन माय हेड ऑलवेज, कि my parents have supported me, so it is also my responsibility to prove them correct that yes, कि उन्होंने लड़कियों का सपोर्ट करके बहुत अच्छा किया, और ऐसे ही करते सबको रहना चाहिए, हर पेरेंट को करते रहना चाहिए. I owe a lot to my parents. When I was in Tripura, क्योंकि मेरे हस्बैंड की पहले प्राइवेट सेक्टर में थे, उसके बाद वो IRS बने. He was actually posted always in Delhi, and I was always there. So उनका आना जाना बहुत रहता था. He used to travel because मैं उतना ज़्यादा नहीं travel कर पाती थी वहाँ से. He used to come, and it was also my father who used to come very often. मतलब उस एज में भी पापा इतना पेन लेते थे कि वो फ्लाइट लेके he used to come to Tripura, stay there for few days ताकि मैं ठीक रहूँ. And then when my kid was born, when my first child was born, then I was DM there. So as a DM, you have more professional responsibilities. So he used to come even then. despite the fact that my mother has a ailment, she had a kidney ailment. So, I mean, all these things, I think I am very fortunate to have such a supportive family. My spouse, my parents, my siblings, they're very supportive.
Thank you, Sonal Goyal, as ever, always extremely fresh in her perspective, very forthcoming in what she has to say, and so full of ideas, all backed by a very, very credible track record of having done whatever she has done so far. And however she has done so far as an IAS officer. We have great hopes from officers like you, Sonal Goyal, and we truly salute your remarkable resilience, your tenacity, and your commitment towards what we do. At Bureaucrats India, thank you is perhaps not enough to acknowledge your help and guidance to us, but we are forever grateful to you for your continued guidance. I'm sure this interaction called BI interview has benefited a lot of our friends from across the country. You have a large base of fan followers across the country. And I'm sure we'll have to do one session exclusively for the US UPSC aspirants, because we are getting many questions which I thought could be taken up in a separate session altogether. Before you joined back, there were some who were asking about your current posting, and for records, I think she's just had joined in Tripura and is on a leave before she joins back. Thank you, my dear colleague and friend Naina Jha. Thank you, Pooja Rai, for giving us the support. Karuna Dhondial, Vigya Dwivedi, and Rajiv Ranjan Roy. Thank you all very much for being here, and of course, Sweta Bharti. And we will see you again sometime soon in yet another edition of BI Interviews and BI Webinar. Thank you and goodbye.